First story. I feel I just need to vent. This is a throwaway for a reason, but recently I ducked up. My 26F and now ex-28F are broken up and I'm broken. It's all my fault. I was dating my GF for 7 years. I wasn't always perfect. I was mean and rude. And not to excuse it, but I grew up in a terrible household. My parents were volatile and I was mentally, emotionally and heavily physically abused. I got into a relationship young and carried a lot of that emotional damage with me. I projected it so hard, I treated her unfairly, and I just wasn't a good person. Also, things we've endured during our relationship. My father passed away, and I had back surgery. She stuck by me through all of it. It was a lot. She held me when I cried about my dad. Went to his funeral with me. All of it. When I had surgery, she took care of me when I couldn't move. Was in so much pain. She showed grace to me. I was bitter and mad during it because of it. Through all of it though, I went to therapy and things were getting better. Genuinely, we stopped fighting overall. We went back and forth over small things, that's mainly it. I was handling my emotions better, my trauma, all of it. We started having big plans, we were doing good. I was bad in the beginning of our relationship when I had first moved out of my parents' house, but I could have done better. Where I fucked up greatly is 5 years ago I cheated. No sex, no kissing, it was emotional and inappropriate. Through being so emotionally invested, things got slightly sexual. I never said anything. She just found out, because the girl I did it with called her and told her. After 5 years, my GF confronted me so fast and she left me. I know some of you will say I deserve it, which I do, and I get that. I don't fucking know why I did it. We had 2 dogs together. She took hers, went to her aunt's house, and hasn't spoken with me at all. I couldn't take it. She took everything. The house is empty and sad now. Just me and my dog, and he's so confused. I hate being home now. All the memories I made with her, gone. I'm not trying to make it about me. I know she's hurting because this came out the blue. She has every right to hate me, which I'm sure she does. I can't eat, I can't sleep, and had heavy suicidal thoughts. I went to speak to a therapist ASAP. The therapist told me the reason for my infidelity was because the person I clung to, we shared one thing. Both our fathers were gone. When I met the person I cheated with, I only lost my dad a year prior. Not that it makes it okay, but she said I was grieving. I know it's my fault, but I lost my best friend, my lover, all of it all in one. I love how we would joke. She was truly my best friend. After my father's passing, my family fell apart. She was my family. She was all I had. I had a future planned, a life. Now it's all gone. I have to sell my home now, get a new job, and try to move on with my life. I take full accountability. It was me. She was perfect. She had her small moments, but fuck is she perfect. I always said when life got bad, as long as I had her, I'd be okay. I don't have her anymore. I'm not okay. Let's see how other people respond. Comment 1. This is a first, but I will try to somewhat help you. First of all, you need to accept that she may leave you, and if you truly are remorseful, you will respect her wish. This is ultimately your fault and she decides the consequences for your betrayal. What I will say for you is that you cannot make others happy without being happy yourself. You should use this experience as a lesson to better yourself. You should apologize and articulate it well, no playing victim, and take accountability. Whether she takes you back or not, you need to learn from this mistake and ensure it doesn't happen in any other future relationships. Personally, I'd advise her to leave because cheating shakes people to the core, and you have to understand how you'd feel if the roles were reversed and given your upbringing it would have hurt Alit. I overall despise cheaters, but at the end of the day they're still people, I guess, but of course I take it with a grain of salt. So it depends if you're willing to take this advice and be a better person. You took her for granted, never forget that. Comment 2. Adding here, you cannot use grief, your shitty upbringing. Nothing is an excuse for infidelity here. You must own it in your apology and take full accountability. She also may not want to have an apology from you too. You should be in therapy and work on yourself. You also might want to be evaluated for PTSD considering your childhood. There are some great treatments out there now. You need to bond with your dog and truly learn to love yourself and all your flaws and become better from it. Phoenixes rise from ashes. OP answers no, I hear you. She did leave me. The day of us breaking up I found out she did as well 7 months ago. Not that this takes away from what I did, but she did kiss someone else. I take full accountability and I know this is something I have to learn from. I'm just hurting so bad to the point I don't feel like moving on in life. This isn't to say I want to run away from my problems or to not feel the weight of the fuck up I caused. I just hate myself so much. Sorry, that wasn't to come off as me using any of that as an excuse. I was just giving background of things I've had go on in life whilst being with someone. I am in therapy. I'm in intensive actually. I am diagnosed with CPTSD. My poor dog is confused, always walking around the house, and I'm trying to be there for my animal, because I know they're hurt too. Comment 3 Yikes, I'm equally as appalled with your ex for cheating on you. Do not go near alcohol or any self-destructive habits. Continue with therapy and spend more time with your dog. Treat them the best you can, and they will reciprocate that love back to you. OP answers I feel it was my fault. She might have though. I haven't talked to her. More like she hasn't talked to me, but I'm trying and she's been so clingy. It's hard being home because it's empty and sad now. But I know I need to be there for him so he can heal too. Comment 4 Sorry, this is what happens when you cheat on someone that knows their own worth. You have a heck of a lot of personal issues, and I'm glad to hear that you are working on them. In terms of a relationship though, they make you very difficult to be in one with. In fact, someone might only be in one with you for a single reason: you are loyal, except you weren't. She's just found out that the one thing, the one and only thing, you really had to offer isn't there. Without it, she has cause to scan the rest of the relationship, and by your own admission, there wasn't really anything that she could hang her hat on to give her reason to stay. Sorry if this is harsh, but I hope that you can take the pain you feel as a learning experience, work on your personal issues and become better for the future. Please give this lady some space. She's made her choice after finding out in one of the most humiliating ways possible. At least let her have some time to process and decide on her future for herself. She may not come back. She may give you a chance. Up to her, but right now she's hurt, and you caused it. Now is not the time to be buzzing around her. OP answers everything you said. I hear you. It's all valid. There's not much to look back at it and even think for a second I was anything she'd want to hold on to. I don't bother her at all. I haven't called or texted her. She called me one day just so we can sort out stuff we both had our name on, and that was it. I know she won't come back. It's hard to accept, but I did it to myself. She'll go on to live an amazing life, I know she will, and I wish I could have been part of it, but I fucked up. Also, don't be sorry, these are all things I needed to hear. I mean, I put my business out there, right? It wasn't harsh at all, it's true. Comment 5. Imagine all of the grief you're feeling, but all of it coming as a surprise betrayal due to someone else's choices. That's what being cheated on is like. Same pain, trauma, loss, but due to someone else's bad character. That's what most of us have been through here, so don't expect sympathy. Let your ex heal and move on in peace. Be a better partner next time. OP answers. I know, and you're right, I didn't want sympathy. I know I don't deserve it at all. I found out my partner did the same thing a while back, and although it doesn't take away from what I did, somehow I still feel it's my fault that I lead her to do that. Comment 6. If she cheated on you, then you need to stop idolizing her. Your relationship was in really bad shape if you both cheated on one another. Stop romanticizing it. Get some therapy and learn the skills you will need to be in a healthy, faithful relationship. OP answers it's hard not to idolize it. It was my first big and real relationship, genuinely. Sure, I dated people before her, but nothing that stuck, you know. I was young. We grew up together. We learned life together and went through so many adversities. It's hard not to think about her in such light. Call it what you may, but she had kissed someone else. The thought of having to let it go sucks, and what sucks is because I know I caused it. Comment 7. I grew up in a terrible household, but here I am, never having cheated on anyone. I'm not sure what you thought mentioning that was supposed to prove. Despite having access to therapy, you still decided to use an external relationship to get your needs met that didn't need to be met that way. You say you've taken accountability, but have you? All I see here is me, poor me. Still self-centered, still a cheater. Have you learned from it at all? OP answers I wasn't mentioning it have sympathy, or throw a pity party. I was just stating the background of my life. It doesn't excuse any of it at all. I know it doesn't. I'm sorry if it came out as was me, it really wasn't meant to be. It was just to say what my thought process was in the moment I wrote it. I'm doing my best to take accountability of all that I did. I don't want to be self-centered, I genuinely want change. Maybe that's why I'm here airing out my dirty laundry, and not having my tail tucked between my legs. I'm trying to learn. I've never cheated before a day in my life, and to move forward from this is learn like you said. Would you happen to have any advice or insight on how I may further it? Comment 8. Have you done any kind of research and reading into what cheating does to a victim, or how to change the behaviors that lead to incidents of cheating? At all? Tell me what podcasts, YouTube channels, books, therapist blogs, etc. have you looked at? I am a victim of infidelity. I never have come out and fully told my story. Anytime I do talk about it, I never bring up my terrible upbringing unless it is directly relevant to the conversation. Why do you think your upbringing was relevant? In my observations, cheaters can have many common qualities. Serial cheaters, cheaters who are also betrayed partners, one-off cheaters. They fit into loose categories, and there are similar qualities they share either within or regardless of category. The foremost quality that I see in almost every single one of you is primary self-centered motivations and behavior. When you guys talk about things, the ways that you don't even notice give away that you don't have the habit of practical, everyday empathy for your spouse partner and your daily thoughts and actions. Another common quality I notice is denial and undeveloped self-awareness. You all claim you are taking accountability, but mostly you haven't even done the bare minimum to put yourself in the shoes of the one you betrayed and learn about the effects of your actions. Put those together, and we have the typical wayward, acting completely lost and clueless about what to do, trying to frame it as concern for their partner and relationship. Yet every underlying request in their speech has to do with only helping to alleviate any pain towards themselves. Maybe step outside of this bubble of ME for a second and think about what your betrayed partner is doing to try to figure out how to heal. Who do you think is telling them where to go and what to look for and how to heal? Most of the time, they are alone in that regard. They may have the guidance of a therapist, but so do you. But what are you doing with that? Nothing to do with empathy and compassion for your betrayed. I will give you a tidbit. Read this book, The Betrayal Bind by Michelle Mays. That's all you're getting from me. The best way I can actually help you is to tell you that you need to actually take accountability. That means having your own agency and investigating and repairing yourself. If I can find all kinds of science-backed resources for both betrayeds and waywards on my own self, being as non-functional as I am, surely you can do it too. OP answers thank you. I know you didn't have to tell me any of that or even help me in any way, but I will read that book. Like I've said, I've never done it before ever, and I guess I was looking at like conventional psychology for anger, infidelity, and anxiety. I'm sorry it sounds stupid, I can't fix all my problems at once, but I was looking into all those on a podcast called The Psychology of Your 20s and Therapy Thoughts. For books I looked into The Body Keeps the Score and Complex PTSD. I will do more research. All of it. Like you said, I didn't think bringing up my upbringing was to be relevant in this. Just that is how I processed things in my life and how it displayed outwardly. I appreciate the book you recommended. I'll start reading ASAP. And although I didn't deserve for you to even respond, I thank you for it. Second story. Hey all. So I'm new to the whole Reddit thing, so please forgive me if this is laid out weird. It's my first post. I 26 M, have a wife 24 F. We have been together for 5 years and married since September 2023 Canada. For context, 2 years into the relationship I discovered messages between her and the AP. These messages were NSFW and definitely something somebody, in my opinion, should not be sharing with someone outside of the relationship. After I discovered the messages, we had a whole argument about it and decided to attend couples counseling in mid-2023. My wife had told me in front of the therapist that I needed to get over my insecurities with AP. I had blown up on her after the first messages were discovered and told her to end the cheating. She said they did and I was reading too far into it. And so I dropped my concerns about AP. She's never been one to give me her phone password, saying she needs her privacy and I should trust her. But I was recently out of town and received a message from her sister asking if she knew about a guy in my home. Not AP. I replied to her no I did not and immediately called my wife asking about the stranger in our home. Her response was less than ideal, screaming at me that I didn't trust her and who she brought into our home was none of my concern. This got me thinking that there is more to this, so I did some digging. I found out her phone password and went through her messages, and there it was. Messages between her and AP about seeing each other. They called their meetups, going for coffee. I'm not going to go into details about the messages, but it was enough for me to say I've had enough. I know I haven't been perfect in our relationship. I got complacent and relaxed, and I pushed hard to try and rekindle our sex life. But I've had enough. My question to you is, AP has a fiancé and a child at home, 2 months old. I've contacted a family law firm to schedule a consultation, and I plan on moving on with divorce proceedings. But my question is, when should I tell this poor woman? She didn't ask for this and deserves to know. However, my wife doesn't know that I know about the affair, and I don't want to blow this entire thing up yet to try and help with my divorce. Thanks for any input you may have that could help, or at least help get my mind straight again. Third story. Hey guy, I never thought I'd be here, but I need to get this off my chest. This is a throwaway account for obvious reasons. Here's the story of how I discovered my wife was cheating on me, on our anniversary of all days. My 34M wife, 32F, and I have been married for 7 years. We have 2 beautiful kids, ages 5 and 3. For the most part, our marriage has been great, or so I thought. Last month, we celebrated our 7th wedding anniversary. I planned a romantic weekend getaway to a cabin in the mountains. It was supposed to be just the two of us. No kids, no distractions, just quality time together. In the weeks leading up to the trip, I noticed she was acting distant. She was always on her phone, giggling at messages, and being secretive about who she was talking to. When I asked her, she brushed it off, saying it was just her friends from work. Fast forward to our anniversary weekend. We got to the cabin, and everything seemed perfect at first. But she was glued to her phone the entire time. I tried to ignore it, thinking maybe she was just having a hard time unplugging from work. On the second night, she fell asleep with her phone unlocked. I know it's a breach of privacy, but my gut was screaming at me that something was wrong. I picked up her phone and found a series of texts between her and a guy named Brian. The texts were explicit, leaving no doubt that they were having an affair. They even joked about meeting up while we were supposed to be on our anniversary trip. Here's where it gets worse. I recognized the phone number. Brian wasn't just some guy from work. He was my wife's best friend's husband. They had been coming over for barbecues, double dates, and our kids' birthday parties for years. I felt sick. I didn't confront her immediately because I didn't want to ruin the weekend. Instead, I quietly took screenshots of their conversations and sent them to myself. When we got back home, I confronted her. She broke down in tears, admitting everything. They had been sneaking around for months, using every excuse in the book to meet up. She said she was sorry and begged for forgiveness, but I was too hurt to think straight. To add salt to the wound, her best friend called me the next day. Apparently, she found out too and wanted to make sure I knew what was going on. It turns out their affair had been going on right under our noses, even while we were all hanging out together as couples. I took some time to process everything and decided to take a break. I moved in with my brother for a while to clear my head. We've been going to marriage counseling since then, but I don't know if I can ever trust her again. Our kids are my top priority, and I'm trying to keep things as normal as possible for their sake. But inside, I'm a mess. I loved her more than anything, and this betrayal has shattered me. Has anyone here been through something similar? How did you cope? Is it possible to rebuild trust after something like this? Any advice would be appreciated. Fourth story. My partner, 30 meters, chested on me last September at a wedding, 3 months after we moved in together. I moved city and job to live with him. We'd just got a cat together. We were having arguments about chores before this, and I started a lot regarding not feeling respected. This wasn't the first time he'd cheated, sexting from the start of our relationship, which I knew about and thought was a one-off. Then his closeness with a nurse at work came out with the latest infidelity. He told me how much he enjoyed it, how attractive she was, and how nice their night was together. He told me he didn't love me. We'd been abroad 2 weeks before and he didn't indicate he was seeking out any other women. I told him I couldn't work on things unless we had an even playing field. I went on a date a week after, and ended up cutting it short because I didn't want anybody but my WS. I gave him until the end of the tenancy to rectify things. We discussed things at length. It took me a long time to stop bringing up his infidelities on a daily basis, and continued to come out every time I felt disrespected. So I played a huge role in the undoing of us. I am aware. I've been angry, screaming, crying, hurting myself, breaking things. It's not good or conducive to reconciliation. I know that. It's abusive. The tenancy is up on the 4th of July, and Kilometer's just about to leave the flat so another couple can view it. I'm finding myself in another extremely uncomfortable situation, having to find somewhere else to live. I feel damaged beyond repair with everything that has happened, and feel like life has really dealt me a shitty hand this past year. I'm willing to keep trying, but not with us under separate roofs. I've lived it before, the uncertainty and flakiness before we moved in together, being put at the bottom of the pile, only to be seen when nobody else is busy. I know what I should be doing, how I should be thinking, but it's easier said than done. My hand is forced now, and I have no option but to just carry on my life without him and try to heal. I know it will get better. He has asked that we keep dating whilst living apart, but I've told him I'm not taking steps backwards. There's been very little change in behavior and he can't apologize for anything off his own back, only when prompted. I've asked him to not engage with me for the next 6 weeks, and have set a boundary that we will be going no contact after these 6 weeks are over. Thought I'd just post an update. as I know many users often wonder what happens to the relationships of people that drop off this subreddit. I unfollowed and deleted posts for months as I wanted to not have reminders of the cheating all the time, to give myself space to heal and not be triggered, and that caused me to resurface everything with my partner. Lots of users told me early days that my partner wasn't safe to reconcile with, but I tried regardless, which has only led to me being a villain too. I tried because I still wanted a life with him, but I don't think he ever wanted that. Stay safe guys, and good luck with your journeys.